I'm on my white people shit today.
Let's get to it. What up, YouTube? My name is Riz Ill, and I'd like to welcome you back to my channel. And today we're going to be reacting to some Steve Wilkos, an interesting story that came out or whatever. I usually react to like some older Steve Wilkos episodes, but today I'm going to react to one of the latest just because it seems like an interesting topic. This one is titled "Racial Violence Against Teen." Apparently a group of we don't know what ethnicity yet, they try to hang a 15-year-old, and it says over here they try to hang my 15-year-old son. So I'm assuming a mother has brought her son onto this show. You know, fathers are a little bit more hush hush, let's handle it, you know. But why why am I confusing and bringing my own opinions into it? We should focus on the kid. So fuck it, let's see what this entails.
Their son was brutally beaten, and they're calling this a hate crime.
He said, "You need to get out. Your mom, you and your family don't belong here. Go back to Africa where you belong." And they just kept hitting me.
It's those words that led Jason Gardner's family to claim he's the victim of a hate crime. On June 6th, he was beaten down by the creek by 3 boys and left nearly unconscious. According to the Gardners, this all started months ago over a girl. His mother, Lakeisha, says she contacted the police multiple times.
Why couldn't this have been avoided? So why have we shown proof of what's been going on? Threats against his life. Nothing happened.
On June 5th, 2017, my 15-year-old son, Jason, was out and about. Jason knew he had a curfew. His curfew was 10 o'clock p.m. But at 10 o'clock p.m., when no one seen Jason or could understand where he was, I went out to look for my son. I thought the worst. I knew something was wrong because I know my children, and he's never a kid that will miss curfew. He likes going outside, so he comes in on time. But I knew something was wrong. I did not expect what we found. And what we found was my child barely breathing. My child left, beaten, badly, alone, cold, wet, in a creek. My neighbors were helping me look for him. While everybody was looking for him, the stranger just yelled out, "Found him." And at first it was like a relief until we heard somebody call 911. And as soon as I heard that, I dropped. Right in the middle of where we were standing, I just dropped. I was terrified of what he had found. I was so scared. I yelled at my other son and told him, "Go and wave down the police and let the police know where we are." So him and the neighbor walked off, and they left to go and do that. When the police arrived, we took him to the back where Jason was. While I'm standing there waiting on him to pull my child out, someone else approaches me and says, "Your other child is in the backseat of that police car." And I'm like, "What? Why is he in the backseat of a police car?" And they said, "Well, they said he's..."
Damn it, don't tell me it's an ad. Damn it, it's my Wi-Fi. Hold on. I'm so sorry, guys.
"The suspect." And then I saw the paramedics bring Jason out on a stretcher.
He didn't look like my child. And even then, I thought the worst. I thought he was gone. I didn't think I would see him again. Not alive.
When I got to the hospital and found my son there in that bed, I seen whips, bruises.
Whips?
I seen a shoe print in my son's stomach. I seen scratches around his neck, as if he was scratching to get something off. He had so many bruises. He had so many scrapes. I was scared to even touch him. I went to hug him and he jumped. to see him so beaten, so bruised. He had a ring around his neck that went completely around his neck. It was like a burn. And there was a rope at the scene. I think that they put that rope around my son's neck. And I think that they drug him. I believe that they hung my son. What happened to my son was preventable. They had threatened him several times before about lynching him. And that's exactly what they did. Because we're black. Our family did not deserve to be bullied out of where we pay rent to live.
I was at a friend's house. I asked my mom, can I go outside? She said, yeah. And I went to that friend's house. It was time for me to go in. And I was going home. I was riding my bike. And like 3 gentlemen came up to me, boys, teenagers. Did
you know them?
I knew one of them. I just knew one. We were friends. And he said, your friend, the person I was with, she's going in the creek. She's gonna hurt herself.
She's going into where?
To the creek.
Oh.
She had a knife. She's gonna hurt herself. So I ran down there. I want to help. I want to save her. So she wouldn't do anything. I called her name 3 times, and I turned back around. I got hit. And I fell to the ground, tried to cover up my face, but it didn't help. They stomped me, they kicked me, they punched me.
Even the one kid that you knew?
I don't know. I really don't know because...
You were just getting hit. It was that night?
Yeah, I was just getting hit. We started getting threats. Started getting more threats, and...
And what were the threats? That they were going to cause harm to you?
Yeah, they was going to do things to my family, harm my family. Somebody spit on my mom. There were dead animals placed on our porch. One day, two men came from out of someone's yard, and they were walking past, and they were trying to walk through my yard. My mom was asleep in the living room, and I didn't want to do no walk through the yard. So I politely asked, can you please not walk through the yard? You're going to start on my mom. He asked, are you asking me or are you telling me?
I'm fucking telling you.
I was like, I'm asking you. He's like, you're not going to make me do anything. And I was just in shock, like, what did I do? And the other dude was next to him. They were both intoxicated. He was like, nah, leave him alone. We're going to have somebody come back and do that to him like they did in the creek. And I was just stuck. Like, y'all know about that? And he was like, yeah, we know. And he wanted to fight me. I don't know why. Grown man, I don't know why he wanted to fight me. And the other dude, he walked away. And I'm arguing with that one man, and all of a sudden, here come another dude. The dude who disappeared, he came up, and he put a gun in my head. He put a gun in my head. He tried to pull the trigger, but it jammed. The gun jammed, and my little brother was outside, and other family members was outside, and they saw that, and it just, my life flashed before my eyes when he pulled that trigger.
Why did you want to be on the show today?
I wanted to be on the show today because I'm a big fan of you. And I don't talk to anybody about my problems, but it seems that as if I like your show so much, I feel comfortable telling you, like, I see you as my idol.
First, I want to just let you know that you are extremely strong. I am so proud of you.
You're going through a lot. And what's a little, not a little, I would say, especially if it was in your shoes, that this horrific crime happens and there doesn't seem to be justice. Nobody's been brought to punishment. And obviously they must know who did this, I would assume, right?
Oh, yeah. He's been charged. 1 out of 3 was charged. And, you know, right now we're awaiting trial. Friday, actually.
We know that you have suffered quite a bit because of this incident, having to move. So what the show would like to do is we're going to give you $5,000 to help you. I want to thank you all for being on the show, telling your story, and if it reaches one person to open up their eyes and accept everybody for who they are, it's a long process, it's a long road, but you got to take a step somewhere, right? Thank you for coming on the show.
Well, since we were on the show, we had trial, and when we went to trial, the defendant was found guilty. Today we are going to his sentencing.
I'm wishing that I get justice. I hope that I get justice.
Even with a guilty verdict, we still feel as though we were defeated. Like, after losing it all, I feel like we should not have had to move. We should not have been run away from our home because of the color of our skin. It shouldn't have happened like that. He was convicted of a level 5 felony. He's a minor, so they try to rehabilitate minors. The least that he may get would be probation. As you know, the most that he would get is probably a year's jail time, but they rarely do that, is what they told us. We're praying that maybe the judge looks at this and says, okay, you know, with everything that you've done and caused, you deserve jail time. But the reality of it is Indiana does not have hate crime laws. And we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that Indiana gets a hate crime law. So if anything like this ever happens again, that defendant will know you will not get away with it. You physically go and lay hands on someone and you beat them and you kick them and you use items like ropes to detain them, to drag them, to do what was done to my child. You're no longer in that stage of a minor. You're doing things that a lot of grown people don't even do. I feel like jail time is what he deserves, and I'm praying that that's what he gets.
I'm scared of the outcome.
Me too.
Before we continue, because I haven't been commenting, I've been trying to get through this entire thing without commenting anything. If you've ever experienced any of this, as I'm about to even explain my experiences with situations like this, leave your comments and stories at the bottom, you know.
You did the crime like an adult, you can do the time like an adult.
That's right.
Ain't no such thing as he's a good boy. He wasn't a good boy when he thought on it and when he did it. So we hoping for jail time today.
We just got out of the sentencing. He was sentenced to 30 days in jail and probation afterwards. I'm hurting because I feel as though, you know, for a crime this serious, that's really nothing. But again, we're grateful. Who's thinking about rehabilitating my baby, my family?
I get where they're going here. They're trying to show the emotions and everything. I don't need to watch anything else. Because enough said, right? And it's almost finished. First and foremost, anyone who's watching this, I want you to understand that it's never a white thing. I know we have this sort of culture and a way of identifying identifying different races in most parts of the world, especially with social media and everything, and media itself, that can make it look like, honestly, out of every race, it can make it look like white people are just, honestly, like from everything that you watch and see, like built and created to just hate on everyone. And that is wrong. Racism and prejudice and discrimination is taught. It's not about your race. Because I've seen racism within my people. I've seen discrimination and prejudice within my people, black people, from different countries too, different African countries, etc. And I've seen it in other races. And one of the ones that have been most impactful in my life is the racial prejudices I experienced as a young man growing up within the Indian community in South Africa, where even in school, there'd be like some of these like young men or boys or whatever it is in school, outside of school, who would verbally attack me for being, one, a foreigner, two, being black, and two, being dark-skinned and black. So it would range from insulting me or making jokes about my looks, to picking on where I come from, to telling me to go back to where I come from and stuff. And the reason why I think it didn't escalate to further violence is because, one, it's not like that whole place, even though there was racial prejudices within the community, it's not like that whole place was like set to be against black people. I mean, Phoenix is like a big community where the neighborhood I've grown up in. It's like a big like community, but it's literally in the center of like, different African like communities. You know what I'm saying? Like there'll be Phoenix over here just full of Indians and stuff with blacks here and there, and then like just on the outskirts there'll be multiple like ghettos and hoods just full of black people, and then you've got the black people that live within Phoenix and all of that. So it's like you sort of, even if you have like these prejudices, you sort of like have to learn to coexist with black people, because one, it is an African country that you're in, and two, you're surrounded basically. So it wasn't that intense for them to escalate it to the point of violence. That was one, because it would have been a thing. And two, I don't think, like, especially from how I used to read the situation, a lot of them, I don't think they thought that they could take me in a fight. Like, there'd be these threats here and there, but then, like, my responses or whatever, or how I carried myself would sort of, like, have them second guessing themselves and how badass they are, and have them backing off, People, I realize, they get braver when they're in a group and they're doing these types of things. Because I've been in those situations where people like this, they get braver and more bully-like when they're within a group, and then they feel they've got the strength to say this, and he's not going to do anything, and I'm going to be the badass in this situation. They shut the fuck up as their strength is taken, as the revelation of like how much strength the other side has. They shut the fuck up more and more when that shit is revealed. And honestly speaking, it's the reason as to why, honestly, I've always, like, from the time I hit college, I've been about, like, MMA, combat sports, mixed martial arts, self-defense, all of that. Guns, not like guns, but just, like, basic, like, knowing how to, like, use guns. I'm very, as soon as I get the opportunity, I'm very amped. Let me just say that, fuck if I get in trouble in the future, man. Like, what are you gonna do? Leave me alone, bro. I'm not, like, a madman or something. But, like, very interested in knowing how to use various things, just because I've never ever felt safe due to those experiences. Like, I've grown up just feeling unsafe and feeling like tomorrow is the day I'm going to be attacked. I'm surrounded. And that's within an Indian community. So what does that story tell you? If even Indians can do that to you, then what is this thing about it's only white people? It's a culture that's built within different communities. There's even situations, even in the same place, South Africa, where I grew up, the same place, where black people, they do the same shits to different races. Black people do the same shit to the Indians. They'll do the same shit to whites, even though, the argument for whites is sort of shaky, especially with stories like this. Especially with like the history of white people and how they came to South Africa in the first place and the different things that happened. People are less likely to defend the white people in terms of black people doing that type of shit to them. Black people do that shit to foreigners. There's also a problem like in terms of like the basic relations of how the locals in South Africa treat foreigners. Different xenophobic incidents that happen. It's not just a white thing. But it is a problem. Racial discrimination, prejudice, and bullying. If it's just discrimination and they're just talking shit, you can find a way to deal with that, because at the end of the day, they're talking, but they're just fucking cowards. It's like a drunk. I even recently had to deal with a drunk over here, walking around talking shit. He was just talking shit for the sake of talking. But at the end of the day, I'd kick his head in. He's a fucking coward. He can't do shit. He's even drunk anyway. It wouldn't even be a fair fight. So there's a difference between someone just talking shit and people taking the steps to act upon their racial prejudices and discrimination and hates that they have, that they can't even explain why they hate. Even the way they say it, it's almost like textbook. It's like they've been tutored to say this, say that, but then when you counterattack them with your points, it's like they have nothing else to say past what they have been taught. It's not just white people. It's not white people that are just prejudiced. It's different races. We see it in that video that I reacted to, the one where they're having anti-African sentiments in Italy. We see it in Europe. We see it in Asia. We see it, and it's not just against black people, even though black people, predominantly we hear this pertaining to black people, Everyone hates everyone. And honestly speaking, I just feel like people should just leave each other the fuck alone. If you don't fuck with people for a certain reason or a certain thing that you've invented in your head, fine. But just stay away from them. Stay away from them. Stay away from them or get dealt with. How's that? How's that? I'm not going to say anything else. Stay away from them or get dealt with.